Onua, mekyea. So I just greeted you with that. I said, Onua, mekyea. Okay, so we have Onua, which is brother, sister, more generally sibling. All right, and then we have mekyea, to greet, and then you. All right, so the kyea in the middle is our verb to greet. And in today's lesson, I want us to look at some of these greeting-related vocabulary because you're going to be using them quite a lot. So starting with kyea, which I said is to greet. You should keep in mind, though, that there's also kyea that means to be bent, okay, as in to not be straight. So I can say, Diano agya, for example, okay, Diano agya. And that would not mean the tree has greeted. No, that would mean the tree is not straight, it's bent, all right? But for today's lesson, we are focusing on the greeting part. So kyea means to greet. As an example, we can have ama kyea me anopa bia. Ama kyea me anopa bia, okay? Ama kyea me anopa bia. So this kyea, which is to greet, which is a verb, if we put before the same kyea, we get the noun form of it. Okay, so we have kyea, which is to greet, but if you put before that, you get nkyea, which is greeting as a noun. Okay, so the act of greeting, we have nkyea. An example here, we have safo mpe nkyea. Safo mpe nkyea. Okay, so Safo does not like to greet. Okay, so we have Safo mpe nkyea. Let's move away from the greeting bit and move towards the response bit. We are starting with the verb to respond, and that is jeso. 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 So as you can see, this is a phrasal verb. We have a lesson on phrasal verbs and how they work in Twi. You should check it out. But as a phrasal verb, you should note that this jeso, you would typically have, the subject in front of this jeso, the one who is doing the responding in front of this jeso. So if it's I who is doing the responding, I'll start with mekyea, okay? Mekyea, all right? Now, the one that you are responding to will come in between this J and then the so, not after the so. And that is how it is for most Twi phrasal verbs. You have the subject coming in front, and then you have, the affected noun. In this case, the one that you are responding to, you put him or her in the middle between this J and then the so, all right? So if I'm responding to you, I will say mekyea woso. Mekyea woso. So when I came in and then I said Onua mekyea, in response to that, you would say mekyea woso. I respond to you. Let's move to the noun version of this. So when we looked at kyea, which we said is to greet, we had the noun form, which was nkyea. Okay, now we have jeso, which is to respond. The noun form of this is nyesuo. 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 As an example to this, we have mekyea no, nanso menya nyesuo bia. Mekyea no, nanso menya nyesuo bia. Let's move to the next vocabulary item, and that is ya. Yeah. Now, this word may look very simple, very small, but this is very, very important. And I say so because you can respond to most of our greetings with just this. Okay? So typically when someone greets you, and let's say you are not sure about the response to give to the person, for most of our, not all, but for most of our greetings, you can just say yeah, and it should be fine. Okay? So if that is not a good response to it, then the person will tell you. But for most of our greetings, you can just say yeah. I read somewhere that this yeah is coming from Yaanom. all right? Yaanom. And Yaanom is folk, okay? So folk, people. But I like to see this as a more general response to a greeting. So when someone greets you, you kind of use this to acknowledge that you've heard the person and you've responded. So if I greet you, say, mekyea, okay, mekyea, good morning, or maha, good afternoon, or majo, good evening. For all these three, you can just respond with just yeah, especially if you don't know the class to put me in terms of my age or my status in society, okay? If you don't know that, then you are better off just saying yeah, okay? Because for our greetings, when we respond, we tend to add words to this yeah, depending on the one that you are responding to, okay? So if the one that greeted you is an older person, okay, old person, and is male, we will add agya, which is father, to this yeah, and then we have yeah, agya. So this would be an appropriate response to someone who is male and old enough to be your father, for example. Okay, so you say yeah, agya. If the person is, old enough to be your mother, you would say yeah, enna. Okay, yeah, enna. So you see, enna is a mother. Okay, so be careful with this. Don't go and respond with yeah, enna if you're not sure about, the age bracket of the person that you're responding to. Okay, because you don't want to assume that someone is old when she is not or when he's not. Okay, so if you are responding to, say, a friend or a brother, a sister, or someone whom you are, in the same age bracket, with, then you would say ya enua. Okay, ya enua. So enua coming from nua, a brother, a sister, a sibling, like we opened this lesson with. Let's move to the next vocabulary item, and we have adie achi. Adie achi. Now, when we say adie achi, we use this to say it's morning. Okay, so when you wake up and you're like, yeah, thank God it's morning, right? Adie achi, it's morning. So you're about to get to your work, do your daily rounds. Then you say adie achi, okay, adie achi, it's morning. Or let's say it's 8 a.m. and you are still in bed, and then your mom or your dad will come and wake you up and say, adie achi, sorry, okay, adie achi, sorry. It's morning, wake up. Let's see an example sentence here. We have adie chia meko suku. Adie chia meko suku. When it's morning, I will go to school, right? So we have adie chia meko suku. So that is for morning. Now, when it's afternoon, so we just said it's morning. When it's afternoon, then we say ewia abo. Ewia abo, okay? Ewia abo. So it's afternoon, ewia abo. Now, take note that this same ewia abo is used to mean it's sunny. Okay, so when the sun is shining a lot, then we say ewia abo. Hey, ewia abo, right? Ewia abo. But in the context of, this, we would say ewia abo as it's afternoon. So we've seen it's morning. We've seen it's afternoon. How about it's evening or it's late? Okay, it's evening or it's late. We have adiasa. Okay, adiasa. It's evening or it's late. So when it's evening, you can say adiasa. Say you are playing with a friend, and then, it's evening, so you need to get back home. You say, oh, adiasa, mi kufi, okay? Adiasa, mi kufi.